Hello, Avengers, it's me, Svenny McG. It is May 2025. The Nintendo Switch 2 is nearly here. It's about to debut, and today I'm going to make a case for the Nintendo Switch Lite. This is the original Nintendo Switch, but it's the one that only goes in handheld mode. I'm holding it upside down the entire time. Nice credibility to start. Full disclosure, if you've seen me ever talk about this, I've been actually pretty critical of it. I've never understood the whole point of having a Nintendo Switch Lite. Again, the obvious thing is you lose the TV capabilities. Although this has USB-C on the bottom, you cannot insert this into a dock. It will not cascade onto a screen. It is meant for handheld gaming only. In my house, we had 3 Nintendo Switch consoles, and everything was hunky-dory until one day, inevitably, one of them died. And I've showed a couple videos on how to try and reset software and everything, but this was a water incident. I took it apart, I did what I could to try and get it running again. I finally outsourced it to a third party. They confirmed it's just shorted, dead. With the Switch 2 coming out, it's now going to be cheaper for me to buy another model as opposed to try to get the parts to replace it. So at this point, we were down to 2 consoles, and that was fine. The Switch 2 was meant to be the third one to come into place. Gonna be my primary. I'll pass my Nintendo Switch on to one of my boys, but right now the way it is, one of them still plays his. Mine, of course, is played by the other. I never get a time to sit down, get into a game, and the problem is, even if I start something, what's gonna happen is, I'm gonna come back later and it's gonna be hooked up to another television, now playing Minecraft or something again. Along came the Nintendo Switch Lite. Now, full disclosure, I'll tell you shortly what I paid for it. That dictates a lot of this story. But this came up used from someone. It already had this casing on the back here that you can see. It's just a clear case, but it provides some ergonomics and protection. It's got a nice hard glass screen on the front here, already covering it, protected. I booted it up, everything's been running wonderfully, and I decided I'll take the leap, try out a Switch Lite. I've loved it ever since. The main reason why I wanted to get one was I wanted to start gaming on some RPGs. I have quite a few collected that I've been meaning to get to, and the first that I wanted to get to was To the Moon. This has been out for a while. In fact, it has 2 sequels and a kind of a filler in between. To the Moon was a limited run game I got, a physical release of it. I've been waiting to play this. It's only about a 4 to 6 hour game, but I knew when I got into it, I was going to want to go through. I had a wonderful time playing this game, and it brought me back to even just some special times in my life. When my oldest was first born, I just got into a 2DS, 3DS console, and the one thing I loved about that was the handheld gaming on the go. If we had to go somewhere and we had to pack him up in his little stroller and take him along, I'd look at my wife and say, hey, you want to drive? And even in the 5 minutes driving to the grocery store, I'd pull out my 2DS and I'd start playing. And at the time I was playing Project Cross Zone. I did the same with Project Cross Zone 2 eventually when that came out. And Fire Emblem Awakening was a lot of the same. My son was barely 1 year old when I got a used copy of that and played through Fire Emblem Awakening. Absolutely loved it. The idea that you can have your 3DS and when you need to take a break, fold it, or on a 2DS, swipe the little bar at the bottom and just put it on hold. And then when you're ready, so long as it keeps a charge, when you're ready, turn it back on and play again. Wonderful, lovely. This is what I wanted to do with the Switch. And I knew, like I said, with 2 for 3 active gamers, not going to fly. To the Moon is not a game I need to play on a television set. I don't need to have a full 70-inch experience here playing this thing. This just runs wonderfully. Lovely little game made with RPG Maker. I'm looking forward to picking up some of the sequels. At least one of the sequels is on the eShop. Some other games I picked up recently: Lunar, Suikoden, West of Loathing. This was another title I got through limited run a while ago. I did actually play it quite a bit, but I'd like to get back to it because recently through Video Games Plus I picked up Shadows over Loathing. And if you haven't played these, literally black and white RPGs, stick figures, super funny, lots of fun. And recently, when I talked about single pack multiplayer games on the Game Boy Advance, Advance Wars 2 was one of the ones I spoke about, and this classic here, Advance Wars 1 and 2, the Reboot Camp. Looking forward to starting this. I actually just started the campaign this morning. I don't believe that there's any reason why I need to experience this on the full screen television as opposed to playing in handheld mode the way it was originally. Another good case to make for the Switch Lite is all the accessible Nintendo Online games that you can play, including some of the Game Boy classics. See, I think this is going to be a great way to play some games, especially Game Boy games, like Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons, Link's Awakening, even Super Nintendo, Link to the Past. Games like this are going to be great to play. Again, the screen size, you're still talking bigger than what you got originally on your Game Boy. Beautiful colors coming through. Something like this, of course, wonderful to play on television. I don't think it's going to be too much more diminished playing here on the handheld on the Nintendo Switch Lite. Of course, one of your primary things that's going to be mentioned here versus your Switch or Switch OLED is you do have a D-pad. You don't have a second set of buttons here because you're not detaching this. So you have an official D-pad from Nintendo. Of course, it functions and moves about the way you would want it to when you're going to be playing games like this. So admittingly, the Switch Lite has kind of converted me to it. I'm not saying go primary. I would 100%, if you're talking dollar for dollar, or you see someone use somewhere, go ahead and get a Switch OLED first, Switch second, Switch Lite probably third. If you're adding one to your home, this isn't a bad addition if you're going to be using it as, like I said, a secondary or specifically for games that you don't care that you're going to be playing on TV. This is not something that you're going to be playing Mario Party with your family on, which is, again, a main reason why I do not advocate for this, because it's not something that you can play. If you're playing by yourself, single player, great. Everything I mentioned here, basically single player experiences. If you want to play something with your family, you're going to want to Switch, something you can put up on the television. For me, again, this is our now third. We have one RIP, and I'm going to have a Switch 2, fingers crossed, pre-orders go through. I will have that, but I know when the Switch 2 comes in, even though there will be some games coming through optimized for it, what's going to happen is it's going to get chewed up, taken up by my kids. Could I have waited a little bit, then get my hands on one of my Switches, start playing some of these games again? Sure, maybe. But what's going to happen here is I paid $60 for this. This was used. There's no issues with it. Came with protector, screen protector. It was completely wiped, so it was fresh to me. $60 recently. Keep an eye on that secondary market. People are going to start unloading Switches and Switch Lites very quickly now as Switch 2s come into play and people are starting to justify some of that pricing that's coming out that nobody is happy with Switch 2. You're going to start seeing these models coming out, and like I said, for this, in this past month, I paid $60. The Switch 2 is coming out in a couple weeks. I thought this will tide me over and still be a great addition. And later on, when some games like Game Share come in play, and you can actually start to do like multi-pack experiences again, then between my wife, my two kids, and myself, we already have Switch Lite, 2 Switches, and we'll have a Switch 2. That means we can cascade, 4 of us can be holding something in handheld mode and playing a game together. And I'll be happy to show that experience when they come, when the Switch 2 is out. But until then, let me know what you think of the Nintendo Switch 2. Let me know what you think of the Switch Lite here today. If you believe that it was a good product, maybe a hit and miss, let me know what you think. Thank you again for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please consider liking and subscribing, as it always helps grow my channel. Until I see you all again soon, please take care and be good to each other. Bye now.